Well now, looks like we were off on our predicting just a little bit this week. Well, for most of us anyway. I, like many of you, had Denver losing, Carolina losing, and sure enough, both those teams won. Oh well. If anything, that's part and parcel to how unpredictable this season is this year. And another thing that I like about how things unfolded is that you have the number one team from the NFC facing the number one team from the AFC. When you see that happen, it's like, okay, that's how it should be. That's how it should be. Whoever ends up being ranked number one in both their respective conferences should be the teams that you see in the final game. And that's what you had this year. It makes the whole system of regular season and playoffs look much more legitimate, and I really like it when a sport ends up having the number ones from both conferences face each other in the final matchup. But was it the matchup that we all foresaw coming? Absolutely not. Because I know, I know even the Carolina fans didn't have much hope going into this season. You lose a defensive end and your starting wide receiver to ACL tears in preseason, and it's like, oh my God, no Kelvin Benjamin? That's your biggest offensive weapon aside from Cam Newton. But they overcame it. And not only did they overcome it, but 15 wins in the regular season, beating Seattle again in the playoffs, beating Arizona, the team that me and many other people saw as the odds-on favorite to be in the Super Bowl this season. And all the people that were harping about Carolina having an easy schedule, what's there to harp on now? They're as legitimate as anyone else that made it to the Super Bowl. Anyway, let's start off with the first game. New England goes into Denver, and I say this with full confidence. That was one of the single greatest defensive performances I have ever seen in the playoffs. Now, you may have seen defensive performances that got more sacks, more turnovers, held a team to less points. But that was Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the defending champ New England Patriots. And they fucked them up. Now, obviously it wasn't a big landslide defeat or anything like that, because the final score was 20-18. But defensively, that was one of the single greatest manhandlings I have ever seen, especially in a conference championship game. I've never, ever, ever seen Tom Brady get knocked around, knocked down, get flustered as much as he did. He looked like he was scared in the pocket. I never say I think Tom Brady looks scared. I think a lot of people, like myself, underestimated how bad that offensive line really was and how much heat that front seven from Denver was going to bring. Because I've been saying all year that Denver was a world beater defense. And I knew the defense was going to keep this game respectable. I still saw the Patriots winning this game. Because honestly, and I'll say his name, I thought Peyton Manning was going to fuck this game up. But to give credit where credit is due, Peyton Manning didn't cost his team the game. But he also sure as hell wasn't the fuck reason why they won it. And all this Peyton Manning dick sucking continues on. Can Peyton get it done again in the Super Bowl? Can Peyton Manning retire winning another Super Bowl for his team? Do all you Peyton Manning dick riders, do you watch Peyton Manning's games, and specifically this year's Broncos team, do you watch the games with your eyes open and the shit cleaned out of your ears? Peyton Manning was nowhere near the reason why they won that game. He had 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, completed half his passes, finished with like $170 on the day. Was Peyton Manning the reason why the Patriots only scored 18 points? Why Tom Brady got hit 24 times, why there was multiple interceptions in that game. Can you Peyton Manning dick riders just shut the fuck up and give credit where credit is fucking due? I have never in my life seen a number one defense get such little fucking credit because people can't keep Peyton fucking Manning out of their fucking mouths. Peyton Manning did it again. He's going to an... Peyton Manning will get as far in the Super Bowl as the Denver Broncos defense takes him. He is being carried. He is carrying no one. No one. And frankly, as much of a Peyton Manning hater as I am, for him being a selfish fucking prick, let him get his shit pushed in one last time on the grand stage. You think what Seattle did to you was bad? You see what Carolina's got in store for you, but we'll get into that in the Super Bowl breakdown video. Anyways, DeMarcus Ware. You know, I heard from a certain team's fan base that they weren't sweating losing DeMarcus Ware 3 seasons ago because, frankly, they'd rather have extra cap room to sign guys like Dez in the future to re-up his contract. And frankly, I always heard from that fan base that, you know, DeMarcus Ware's best days, far behind him. He's not going to have too many productive years left. I hate to break it to you, Dallas Cowboys fans, but DeMarcus Ware is still one of the single best edge rushers in the game. And you saw every bit of how much he has left in that Denver Broncos Patriots game last Sunday. And as far as people who've had the best days behind them, how do you feel about re-signing Dez? If we're going to talk about guys who's had their best days far behind them, is Dez going to come up in that conversation? Because with me it absolutely will. Did you see how he played this season? Oh, he was coming off an injury? Really? Were his hands and arms injured at the end of that Tampa Bay game in the middle of the season last year? He got to the ball just fine with his legs. Far be it for me to not address the Dallas Cowboys at any single possible chance I can get. Anyways, I like this Denver team. If it wasn't for their selfish fucking quarterback, I'd really love them. But they're going to go as far as this defense takes them. It's going to sicken me that if the Broncos win the Super Bowl, that defense will never get the due credit it deserves. Because old number 18 is going to get all the spotlight. All of it. No one's going to remember that Denver defense because every time you're going to mention this Super Bowl, if the Broncos win, it's going to be Peyton Manning took his team to a championship again. And he did it on the back of his defense again, just like in Indianapolis. Does anyone talk about the Indianapolis defense? No, they talk about Peyton Manning finally winning a Super Bowl over Rex Grossman. Anyway, I was surprised. I was surprised with the outcome of this game, guys. I really was. 18 points is 18 points. And seeing the Patriots fans so fucking salty after this game. So fucking salty. For how bitter you were over my Eagles beating you as the season was winding down in December. Come here for a second. You know that trouble that Tom was having with the snap count and the trouble with the noise and everything like that? You know, it would be nice to have a home field advantage in this game. Just want to let you know, if you could have beat the Eagles this year, you would have had home field advantage in the AFC Championship. And guess what else, Patriots fans? Your head coach, Bill Belichick, he was one of the biggest proponents for changing the kicking spot of the extra point. How'd that work out for you? Patriots fans are salty because this is going to be the big redemption year. Deal with the Patriots. In many people's minds, not mine, I think the Patriots past Super Bowls were all legit and, you know, the whole asterisk shit, whatever. But face it, a lot of fans' minds are always going to mar the 4 rings on Tom Brady's hands with asterisks attached to cheating. Had a chance to redeem yourself again. Didn't get it done. You could thank your coach. Sure. Move the extra point attempt back farther. And like it or not, that was probably the difference in the game. I know the game may have unfolded a little differently if the Patriots do get that extra point after that first touchdown. But in the end of the game, they would be playing for a tie with an extra point. Instead, they had to go for a 2-point conversion. 28-18 is your final score. Cry into your pillows. Cry into your fucking pillows, Patriots fans. Bye-bye. See you next year when you know that Tom is going to have even less left in his tank. Still searching for that completely undisputed, legitimate championship. Oh, you got no rings. You got no rings. We have the same. I won't even go there. Anyways, just be salty, Patriots fans. Be salty, because that's really what you're good at there in New England. Moving along, Arizona Cardinals go into Carolina. And, oh, by the way, the breakdown-wise, 75% of you had New England over Denver, 25%. 57% of you had Arizona winning over Carolina, 43%. I was with you in thinking that Arizona was going to come in there and just be too much offense for the Carolina Panthers to handle. But I even said to you in the prediction video, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona won by 28 points as much as I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina won the game by 28 points. I gave the edge to Arizona in that they looked a bit more respectable coming out of their game in the divisional round. But holy fuck! 49 points? The single most impressive thing that I think that came out of this game was that Carolina made Arizona look like they had absolutely no fucking business being on the field. Like, that's how much of an outright dom-fucking-nation it was. Hold on a second, I'm looking something up here real quick. Yeah. And another thing that I really don't understand is what is all the hate for Cam Newton? Like I hear a lot of people that, you know, they get upset because he does the Superman thing and he gives out footballs to kids and people see that as like him just like vying for obvious favoritism. But I've never been a professed hater of Cam Newton. I think that he sometimes smells himself a bit too much, and that's what you saw before halftime. He was smelling himself too much and got an air of invincibility. And he threw in a really good secondary, got picked off, and damn near picked sixth. And by the way, the turning point in this game was nothing that the Carolina Panthers did offensively. It's what the Arizona Cardinals did offensively. When you're going into halftime, you have a chance to put up 7 more points, get into the head of Cam Newton, because Cam Newton throws a terrible interception, a risky pass into a well-covered passing route, and it almost gets taken to the house. Luckily it doesn't. It gets tackled at the 15-yard line, whatever it was. Carson Palmer. Once a bungle, always a bungle, I guess. Because this motherfucker, the absolute only thing you could settle, even getting just a field goal, was fine. You absolutely cannot turn the ball over there. Carson Palmer throws up an absolute gimme interception into the end zone. And that, ladies and gentlemen, took away any chance the Arizona Cardinals had in that game. Because if Arizona goes in with even just a field goal or a touchdown, that's in Cam Newton's head. Because Cam Newton's like, I was invincible and I just handed points to the other team. I just fucking handed points to the other team. Because at no other point in the game had Cam Newton had that notion in his head. Instead, his defense steps up, backs him up, gets the ball back. Cam Newton goes in halftime. No harm, no foul. I'll come out, do my thing in the second half. No damage done by me. Carson Palmer and a guy who I was pulling for, Mr. Larry Fitzgerald. Boy, you're going to be a veteran in the league this long? You're going to show up with a performance like that? Because I can only put so much blame on Carson Palmer in this game. Because Mr. Larry Fitzgerald, all of a sudden, of all times, I don't know why, he hasn't had this problem all season. And I even tweeted out, I was like, boy, I guess Larry's got money on the Panthers in this game. Because that motherfucker couldn't catch a pass to save his life. How the fuck does a vet like him, who is still putting up good ball, drop so many passes? Gimme passes. Man, I went from pulling from him to saying, like, you know what? You don't deserve to be in the fucking Super Bowl if that's the effort you're going to put forth. Oh, my God. Well, come here, Arizona fans. I'm going to talk about something for you real quick. I remember seeing a lot of you Arizona Cardinals fans last season being upset at anyone that supported the Carolina Panthers last year because the Carolina Panthers, with their sub-500 record, beat you in the first round of the playoffs. But you guys kept saying, yeah, well, the Panthers beat us, but we had our 4th-string quarterback in the game. The fuck is your excuse this year? Arizona Cardinals fans, a word of advice. Don't pop off to any Carolina Panthers fans, all right? You popped off to them last year, and I was like, okay, I can understand. It's pretty shitty. You have to go with a 4th-string quarterback, and you lose to a team that had its 1st-string quarterback. Okay, I can understand you guys being a little flustered with that. My advice to you this year would be sit there, grab that piece of humble pie that Cam Newton dropped off, and said, here you go. Here's a slice for you. Here's a slice for you. Instead of handing out footballs at the end of the game, Cam Newton went around the stands, found anyone in an Arizona Cardinals jersey or just anything representing the Cardinals. He had a big pie. He said, here you go. Slice for you. Slice for you. Slice for you. Grab that piece of humble pie, eat it, and shut the fuck up. Not that Arizona Cardinals fans are salty, because you want to see saltiness, look at the New England side. Anyway. Yeah. I'd say Carolina did a pretty good job vindicating that they deserved to beat you last year and they deserve to beat you this year, because your team didn't show up to win in either game. Arizona didn't show up to win in either game. Anyway, I know that this Super Bowl matchup's going to be pain. I don't want to get too much into the Super Bowl. It's going to be as Cam the villain versus Peyton Manning, Mr. Papa John's, Mr. HGH, who tastes so good, you know, Mr. Poster Board versus Mr. Oikos Yogurt. I don't understand why the sentiment is, well, then again I do, because Mr. Wholesome Country Boy, Mr. Selfish fucking prick. Okay, you know what, I don't even want to get into it. We'll save it for the Super Bowl video. I don't even want to get into it. Trust me. I'll get into this hardcore in the Super Bowl video next week, guys. But congrats to the Panthers. I sold them short a lot this season, especially going into the Eagles game. I was like, frankly, this team hasn't done anything impressive. But near the end of the season, they kept chugging along. They kept finding ways to win. I had a tremendous amount of doubt when they gave up and choked away a lead against the Giants near the end of the season. I was like, yikes. Yikes. My thoughts of them being a championship caliber team. But you know what? All a team can do is go out and prove their worth. They have any given Sunday stammers and mess-ups like you saw them losing to Atlanta. And to think, if they could have beat Atlanta, oh my God. Ugh. I mean, not that Carolina fans are really going to give a shit at the end of the day. If their team wins this, I could give a fuck less if my Eagles were in the Super Bowl and they had 1 loss or 16 wins going out of the regular season. Who cares? As long as you get a ring on your finger, don't dwell on the Falcons beating you in week 14, 15, whatever it was. 15, I think it was. Anyway, or was it 16? Whatever. It's an interesting matchup because I know for half of this game, and again, I don't want to get too much into this, half of this game, you're going to see one of the best dynamic offenses in the Carolina Panthers versus the hands-down best dynamic defense in the league in the Denver Broncos. For half of the game, you're going to see those two bests collide. And you're going to see one of those sides has to show up to win better than the other. Has to. But we all know where the edge is in this game. Then I'll give you my final thoughts next week in the Super Bowl video. Anyways. Props to the Panthers. Props to the Broncos, specifically their defense. I just hate the fact that if Denver wins this Super Bowl, that defense will never get its just due respect. Never. Never. Just like the Indianapolis Colts defense, to this day, still never gets its just due respect because Peyton Manning happened to play on the offensive side of the ball for them. What a shame, but is that going to happen? Anyway. Till then, in the Northeast, keep shoveling that snow. If you're in the New England area, just instead of crying into your pillow, just cry outside and help melt the snow. Help melt the snow away with your salty tears. And if you're in Dallas, fuck them Dallas Cowboys. Enjoy Dez and watch DeMarcus Ware in the fucking Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl! I'll continue to watch my team not be in the Super Bowl. Don't worry, I didn't forget that my team has no rings. All you smart asses that are going to bring that up. Have a good day, everyone. Go back outside and shovel snow. Just invite some Patriots fans over. Let it melt. Sorry, one last jab, Pats fans. How can I resist? You're so fucking salty and full of excuses when my team beat you and took away your home field advantage in the playoffs. One last time. Have a good day, guys.